Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kenny Buller here, your co-host of the Second Floor podcast. On today's Jungle Series episode, we bring to you, back to the studio, Anthony Zorzetto. Now, I very well knew there was going to be someone I wanted to bring back from our roster of amazing guests to the Jungle Series. Normally, you know how it is, we jump right into the jungle, we start talking right away, and we get deep into our topic. Today, it's really important for me to explain to you why this needs an introduction. First and foremost, if you're 18 years and older, keep listening. If you are under 18, please press pause, press stop, and revisit this episode when you're 18 and up. I just feel like that's an important disclaimer to mention. We talk about psychedelics. We mention psilocybin, what that experience was like for Anthony, and what that experience was like for me at a time where we did it at separate times, and where for the both of us we realized through the benefits of doing it how much it helped us really find certain answers that we were looking for at the time. If you don't know who Anthony is, I highly encourage you to either choose to listen to his initial episode with us first or after this episode. Anthony was someone who was the very first, let's say, survivor we brought on to the podcast, demonstrating and explaining his full story from beginning to end of how he got out of his cocaine addiction. So yeah, you're probably wondering, well, what the hell? He got out of a cocaine addiction, and now you guys are talking about consuming psychedelics? Well, let's just be clear here. Anthony Zorzetto is not in any way, shape, or form addicted to psychedelics. He actually very rarely even does it. This was just at a point in time during the coronavirus where he very much so needed to face his demons. He decided to do it, and he explains in full detail what that experience looked like. And you know what? I'm a big believer in when someone explains to me a deep dark secret or something of that matter that they would normally be used to sharing in private, and they share it publicly, and to me, I'm very open to doing the same. So you guys are going to get a little bit of a taste of certain moments in my life where I look for answers and where I wanted to get to a deeper level with certain people whom I had that experience with. And of course, we back that up with the scientifically based evidence. We have to, right? So we talk a little bit about, what are some certain factors that just aren't true about psilocybin, certain ones that are, and pretty much we're going to take you on a little ride of what that experience looked like. So brace yourselves, put your seatbelt on, and get ready to elevate all the way to the Second Floor's Jungle Series with the one and only Anthony Zorzetto. Here we go.
All right. Let's do this, brother.
Right on, man.
How we doing today, Anthony?
I'm doing so good.
It's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
Damn. Honestly, you're the first guest that we're bringing back for the second time.
Oh, right on. I'm blessed. I'm honored.
I wanted to do that more often, kind of like that Joe Rogan-esque, where you have your true few.
Yeah.
Like some of your good friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Or even some of the people who especially for you. Yeah. There's more to you than just the story you shared.
I'm an onion.
Yeah. And we're just gonna keep peeling you back.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'll be the Brendan Schwab of the JRE.
In my opinion, you're
I'll take it.
I'll tell you that. I just want to first of all acknowledge you, man, for with this entire quarantine we've been living through for a very long time, and especially the good news now as we've just started recording, we're pretty much at that stage 1 level. Yeah. Where people are starting to go out more. I'm actually physically able to have you in the new studio.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge you for keeping busy during that time.
Appreciate it.
Right? I mean, with a couple of Facebook, Instagram lives that you've done, and you not being afraid to obviously be vulnerable and showcase certain stories during this time to let people know that even someone such as yourself is going through the same hardships like other people.
Yeah, 100%.
The
vulnerability is reminds me of the whole COVID situation here too, because it's the new normal. So me being vulnerable, people will say, I'll get complimented a lot, which I appreciate big time, but it's just the new normal to me. Just like how COVID now, everyone's it's the new normal. You know what I mean? No one's freaking out so bad anymore, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Totally.
it's good.
That's true, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually do something funny. I didn't want to show you until we'd actually go live.
Okay.
I myself have been, planting certain seeds during the quarantine.
Yeah.
And it needed me to do something that I once did 5 years ago
Yeah.
that I never thought I'd do again.
Okay.
And I'm about to do the reveal right now. I'm going to take this hat off, and I want to see your immediate reaction.
Okay.
Without you even knowing the context behind it.
Okay.
So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, man.
Okay, guys, here we go. Anthony he does not know, and he's not seen this before. And then you tell me whether or not, if comfortably you can with the conversation we planned,
Okay.
if I still keep my hat off.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, boom.
Oh yeah. Put that shit on.
I'm grandpa, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Grandpa Kenny.
grandpa, yeah.
I love it. Let me see the back a little bit.
You know what? Look, check it out. We're full on Grandpa Kenny right now, bro. Like, it happened.
That's a beautiful cul-de-sac.
You know what? I figured that sometimes when you're starting to make skits and you really got to get in a character,
Yeah.
you just got to shave it off.
All in, man. You're a method actor. Tom Hardy. Look out.
Yeah, speaking of drugs, we're going to get into that.
Yeah, it's like fear and loathing.
Yeah, but I mean, I love your immediate reaction because you said put it back on. Would that make you feel more comfortable?
You know what? I don't. Nothing can make me uncomfortable anymore, man. So
That's
whatever
true.
you want to do.
I'm probably, you know what? We'll start with it, and depending on how you react and look at me, if you start giving me less eye contact.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking to my elder now, actually. So this might be all right.
We're gonna get more wise.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? I needed to do it. We are planning a skit. It's already gonna be out by the time this launches. So if you're listening to this and you want to see the skit, we don't know what it's going to be called yet, but it's associated with barbershops being closed during the quarantine.
Yeah, I like
and it's
it.
the part 2 version of what I initially did,
Yeah.
where my mom and my brother cut my hair.
Okay.
And then during that time, I felt like, you know what? My brother's like, we got to do a part 2. And
Yeah.
we'll include Omid and his great theatrical experiences of showcasing it on video. And we'll do something fun. So when that's out, I encourage you to check it out.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
You'll see this in its full form.
I'm super happy that had a purpose, by the way. It's for a skit.
If I told you I did this for fun, you'd have to be like, Kenny, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Are you on drugs? Like, what's going on?
Or you have the next level of confidence that we all need.
Yeah.
Because you're like, fuck it. This is what I look like now.
If
I'm
anyone,
rocking it.
Yeah. If this becomes the new fade look, bro, I'll die. It'd be hilarious.
You might have started something, man. Yeah. I love it.
But you know what, man? Let's talk about what we came here to talk about first, because I think it was really important when you shared with me, Anthony, that time you called me not too long ago and said that you had this like new redefining moment.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just going to add a disclaimer for anything that we end up talking about here, guys. It's not meant for all ages. I'll just say that right off the bat. So if you're 18 plus, this is more catered to you. And also, if you feel at all influenced by doing anything that we share and talk about, that's not our intention. We're not here to tell you, hey, do this particular experience that made us feel this way. It's just simply based off of what we found for ourselves. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think it's just fair to say that.
Yeah.
But also give note that this is something that definitely, when you and I both did it and you brought it to me, we felt comfortable in sharing it to other people.
100%.
So we hope by doing so,
Yeah.
especially after our first episode together, other people feel more inclined to share their version of it.
Sure.
And I'm sure with this still entailing drugs, it's more so on the positive end.
That's right.
And I even hate calling this a drug in general, because
Yeah.
with more research that I've personally done and with other elements associated with psilocybin,
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of breakthrough studies on how positive it can be for your health.
Yeah.
Not to say you do it every day,
Yeah, no.
but let's talk about it, man. Why don't I get you to just share with me wherever you want to share
Sure.
and tell regarding your story of what changed for you big time
Sure.
when not too long ago you decided to dive into it.
Yeah, sounds good, man. So I've been doing lots of research on psilocybin and listening to lots of people on podcasts, like people that know their shit, Joe Rogan, all those guys talking about psychedelics and what psychedelics can do for you, especially if you're doing a guided psychedelic session. So more or less, that's kind of what I did. I took mushrooms, psilocybin, and I did the classic. They came in capsules, first of all, and I did the classic when you ingest drugs. Is you take one, you're like, all right, you know, what time is it? Okay, it's like 45 minutes. It's not hitting me yet. An hour, oh my god, I'm gonna take another one, and then I was like, still nothing, and then I took another one, and like if you look at my weight and my height and how active I am and stuff, one's good. I took 3. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting in my room, or sitting in the living room, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching Kevin Hart because I want to stay. I've gone to the dark side before on psilocybin, and I must say the last time I did psilocybin was 12 years ago. So this isn't something I do all the time.
Fair.
And
Glad you mentioned that.
when I did do it 12 years ago, I did it to get fucked up. Like I was camping with my buddies, and the only purpose was to just get messed up. That was it. And I think that's really important when you take psilocybin. You're taking it for a purpose. It's going to give you whatever you want it to. If you're taking it to go to a concert and get like messed up and go crazy, that's what's going to happen. If you're taking it to rid yourself of some kind of addiction or get into open your third eye and get into a different realm of energy and subconsciousness, that's what's going to happen too. But you got to be smart about it. That's what I wanted to do this time.
It sets the intention. That's what you really need to do.
Yeah.
You need to really fundamentally understand prior to doing this, what am I searching for?
Yeah.
And it will take you there.
100%.
It really will.
You're
That's why
self-conscious.
there's the constant notion of bad trip.
Yeah.
Well, what was your mind? Where was your mind at prior to when you took that drug?
That's right.
And what were you telling yourself?
You have
So
to be-
that's huge, man. The purpose.
Yeah, you have to be ready for it. And I was ready for it. So I'll say the reason I wanted to do it is because I kept it's starting to get warm outside, right? And a trigger for me is when it gets warm outside, I want to drink beer. Beer quenches my thirst. It always has. But my biggest problem was I can't just stop at one. I would drink to get drunk. I would appreciate the first couple of beers, and then I would have like, let's say a craft beer or something from like Alley Cat, like a nice beer, an Erdinger or whatever. I would have the first 2, and it would be that. And then after that, I could switch just as quickly to like Molson Canadian.
Yeah.
And like, or like, something like that is Coors Light, like whatever, right? And so that what that told me is I'm drinking to get drunk. I'm not drinking because I'm appreciating the craft of the beer, right? So I was kind of getting tired of that feeling because I already rid myself of every hard drugs. I'll never do that again. It's gone. And I always want to better myself, right? So I took psilocybin because I knew that I could actively think about not drinking alcohol anymore and also make myself this elevated person. And so I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching some comedians, right? And not just any comedians, watching Kevin Hart. So Kevin Hart's like big time hustler, right? Like he's a comedian, he's a producer, a director, an actor. He does public speaking. He has like he's partners with like Chase, so they do like money management for people.
Yeah.
He owns properties. He has a vital hustle, like
It's huge.
so just him being in front of me, it wasn't just the comedy. The comedy made light of it, but I'm looking at this person who is like a great entrepreneur and powerful person. So I take these things, I'm watching it, and all of a sudden Kevin Hart just looks at me and he's like, Anthony, you're fucked up. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh my God. And he started kind of melting. And I'm like, oh shit, that's all hitting me at once. All this psilocybin is just about to destroy me. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'm tough. I got this.
Prior to mentioning that, sorry to cut you off, Anthony.
worries.
You talked about purpose, right?
That's right.
What purpose or any of that were you telling yourself when you initially took the drug while Kevin Hart was playing?
Initially,
out of curiosity.
I wanted to rid myself of alcohol. Okay. So since you and I have talked the first time, I wasn't doing anything at all, and I kind of started being out, like giving myself permission to have a beer or two here and whatever. And then I realized I've started seeing some signs of like, hey, you can go down this dark path and become an alcoholic.
Back to your point about like drinking to get drunk.
Like I'll never do drugs again, like hard drugs. I'll never do that again. But will alcohol be my new drug? That's what I was worried about.
That's fair.
So I wanted to make sure that I fucking nipped that in the ass right away.
Beautiful. And that was the intention.
That was the
To
intention.
go in there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so now Kevin Hart's melting.
Yeah, he's melting. Okay, back to him melting. So he's melting and he's talking to me. I'm like, holy fuck, this is insane. So I knew I was in for a long run. Funny I say a long run because I'll tell you in a sec. I made sure at that time, it was probably about 1 a.m. or so, I made sure my girlfriend had everything she needed. I put like a glass of water by her bed. I made sure my son was sleeping in our bed at the time. Made sure he was okay, diapers changed, blah, blah, blah. I'm going as fast as I can because I know I'm about to trip out really, really bad. So, and I recognize that feeling because 12 years ago, I took so much, like probably a horse would get high. So I had that same kind of feeling. You don't forget that shit.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I can either sit here, dwell on it, trip out and be afraid, or I can manifest something out of this, right? So that's what I decided to do. So I let a couple minutes, so I thought, pass, but it was actually a couple hours where I don't know exactly what happened. I just knew I was in a safe place in my house. But I got to a point where I was not coming down, but it was manageable. So I'm thinking in my head, what can I do actively right now to make myself a better person? And I don't mean just better. I've been obsessed lately of being like an absolute beast, like a beast at my craft. No one can outwork me. No one can out hustle me. I'm smart as fuck. You know what I mean? I'm fit, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You're optimizing every single level of things that are going on in your life.
Yeah. Who's at the top? Look at those people and try to outwork them. Mm-hmm. That's when I've been like very much obsessed with lately. And leading up to this, I just kind of dipped my toe into it. So now I'm high. I'm manageable high. And I step into the shower. I'm like, I need to shower. So I'm stepping in the shower and it's warm, like normal, like whatever. And I'm like, an elite athlete like Kobe Bryant, he didn't do that shit like this. Like he didn't just take a nice shower. He went all the way cold. Like this guy's a gangster. Yeah. So I went all the way cold, and I'm talking like the people who drowned in the Titanic. I could feel that water, and I was thinking about that actually. Like back in the day when people, they died in the Titanic, like that water was stupid cold. And I was appreciating that, like, and I could feel it. Like I was like feeling the same water. Like it was almost like the Atlantic Ocean was pumped through a bunch of pipes from the Atlantic Ocean right to my house. And I was just freezing cold.
That's nuts.
And I had my hands on the wall, and I was just like, LeBron James.
What a beautiful visual though, right? Like anyone else who's sober in that experience is like, get me out of here, I gotta do it, but get me out of here.
But I'm like,
and you're just picturing Titanic,
yeah, man,
right inside your head. It's beautiful.
I'm like appreciating these people who perished in that tragic event, but at the same time, I'm like, LeBron James probably does stuff like this, like Connor McDavid, Conor McGregor, all these guys take like cryotherapy, go ice cold. I have no idea if I did it right, but at the point I didn't care. It was more of a David Goggins moment where you turn it all the way cold and you're like, you can't fucking hurt me, right? And that's what happened. And I took I washed my hair, I washed my body. I think I trimmed my excuse of a beard at that time. So I was in there for a while, and then I got out, and then I went up to Rena, my girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, like I gotta go for a run. Like I'm feeling it. She's like, oh, whatever. Okay, sounds good. Because remember, now it's like about 4:30 a.m. somewhere in there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and she's like, just kind of like, whatever. It's dark. She can't even see me.
What are you on?
Yeah. Get out of here. Yeah, little did she know. So I get my shoes on, and I don't want to wear socks because I want to be one with the earth. But I know that if I go barefoot, I'll probably get something. You know what I mean? Or like a rock in my foot or something. I'm not that crazy. So I lace up my shoes, and I'm wearing actually an RVL tank, and I got my RVL sweats on.
Respect.
Not even trying to plug. That's what I was wearing. And it was 10 degrees out, so it was not warm. And the sun was it wasn't even up yet, right? It's like 4:35 in the morning. And I live in the River Valley. Like I live in Cloverdale. Mm-hmm. So my backyard is trails. You can do trails forever.
Sweet.
So I jumped outside and I put my earbuds in, and
you were in the jungle. You're in the jungle.
I'm in the jungle, just like we are right now. So I put my earbuds in, or my AirPods, and I listened to what I've been listening to is Conor McGregor. Yeah. I always get Conor McDavid, Conor McGregor mixed up for a second. And I just type in Conor McGregor motivation, and it's just a compilation of these people that put together about how he manifests things, and he pictures things, and he does a law of attraction. Like he's a law of attraction gangster. Like he is all about that. And I listened to his walkout, and I'm feeling it, right? And I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. And he's not in the same arena as me. I'm not going to be a fighter anytime soon, but I'm applying it to my life. So while I'm walking, I'm listening to all this, right? And then I start running, and I'm like, hey, I was like, I can do this. Like, I'm going to start running. I start running. I'm going up this path, and I go up to this high school. It's like McNally. And it's, keep in mind that the trail has trees that grow over it, right? Yeah. And it's dark, and I'm on psilocybin, and I'm trying to fight the urge to jump down the path metaphorically into the dark side where all the shade is, right? And I get to the top of the hill, and I'm like, okay, good. And I'm like, does David Goggins stop? Absolutely fucking not. So there I am at the top of the hill. I look down. I'm like, no, I'm not going back. I'm going to keep going. So I keep going. And there's this bench. And anyone that knows our beautiful city, there's this bench at McNally High School that overlooks the North Saskatchewan River and our downtown core. So I'm sitting on that bench and I'm like, David Goggins wouldn't stop. So
Keep going.
I get up. I ran all the way home. So that's 4K. So 4 kilometers to the bench. I touch it. I run all the way home.
On
touch my
shroomies.
door. Yeah. And I'm still peaking. Like I'm still pretty high, but it's manageable. So that's 8K now. And then I run all the way back to the bench and I touch it. And then I run all the way back home and I touch my door. And then I run all the way to the bench again.
Is
And then
3 times or 2 times?
I actually did it 4 times.
Holy shit.
Without stopping. My AirPods died. And I was just running on just my own. It was playing so vividly in my head that it kept going, but it was dead. You get that like doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, that sound when it dies.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck these things. I don't need these things. And I put it in my pocket and I go to the bench and I've like, hey, I've earned this now. I sit on the bench, got my arms out, and there's people walking their dog. Now it's about, I don't even know what time it was, but the sun's up.
Yeah.
People walking
are
their
out
dog.
now.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the bench and I see the river start going. Boom, boom, boom.
You still feel it.
I'm still fucked up. The river, I'm like, this thing is flooding. You know what I mean? But I'm not tripping like, oh my God, it's flooding. I'm like, this thing is rising. And then I was cognizant to know that, I'm just high. So, I'm like, okay, now I know that I can do something I haven't done before. I've never ran, and that's up a hill, and then down a hill. I know I can do this stuff. I'm athletic. I've kind of attacked the athletic part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like at a point where I can talk to myself and believe myself. I'm not like, when I don't know if you've ever been like super fucked up on some kind of drug like acid or something, but if you're talking to yourself, you don't know what is reality. So at this point, I knew I was high, but I knew I could manage it. So I'm at the point now in my subconscious where I'm like, hey, you can actually coach yourself into ridding yourself of any type of addiction and also changing your mindset on anything you want. Like you have the law of attraction in front of you and you have the reins in your hand. And I thank God I recognize that. So I'm walking and that trail is very windy and the path it was like it was laid down just for me. So I'm walking down the trail. It's very windy, and I get to this part that anyone who walks that trail, there's a lot of people. That's why I'm saying it, like people know it. There's a lot. It's shadows now. So I'm in like a dense wooded area, and there's these tall evergreens and spruce trees, and they're kind of scattered throughout the path. And I'm walking in the path, and now I'm chest up, and I'm jacked, and I'm the fucking man, and I'm walking through this thing, and I look at these trees, and the trees, they come out of the earth, and the branches start at about 3 feet, and I'm like, this path is my path. I'm like, this is a fucking metaphor.
Yeah, wow.
I'm like, oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is a metaphor. I'm like, I used to hide by these trees. Everyone's afraid of this windy path. So instead of staying on the path, they go to a tree because they know what a tree is. And that tree could be anything. That tree could be sugar. Like a tree could be cocaine. The tree could be MDMA. The tree could be food. It could be whatever. You're going to cling on to that because you know it. Mm-hmm. But you're still in that dark path. And you're not going anywhere, but you recognize it, so you stay there, whether it's good for you or not. And I recognized that as I was walking, kind of floating, if you will, through these paths. And I go to the next tree and the next tree, and I'm like, that was my parents splitting up. That was me being homeless. That tree over there was me getting my house taken away. That was me getting my truck taken away. That's me losing some friends. That's one of my friends killing himself. And I would hang there. I would hang out there. And I was walking with a smile on my face in real life. Big smile on my face because I knew that I was going to get through the trail. And I'm looking, and there's some daylight. You're kind of looking, and there's, the sun is gleaming, just blessed down on this field in front of me. And
light at the end of the tunnel.
Light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm walking through this path knowing that I'm going to get there, but not afraid to recognize these little things that I used to ignore. And it was, celebrating my victories is one thing that I used to always get in trouble with. I didn't really drink while I was down because I dealing with anxiety really well. I need to hit it head on. So if I'm drinking, it's because I'm celebrating, right? But I also celebrate my small victories so I was, always wanting to drink. So I'm
Signed a
recognizing
deal today.
it.
I want to grab a beer.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So I'm recognizing these things. I'm going through this path and I see the light and I'm smiling. I'm so happy because I've now faced all these things. There's some people in my family, I won't say, but I'm looking at these burrows, let's say, where the branches start. And I'm like, I forgive you. It's not your fault. Like, I forgive you. And that was my fault. Please forgive me. I've forgiven myself. That guy is dead. Old Anthony, he's dead. And I had this like surge of like, okay, you're okay now. You're a different Anthony. You're the next Anthony. You're version 2.0. Let's do this. So I get to the last tree that's casting the shadow like a start line, like a crisp line on the floor. And I'm stopping at the shadow. And then one more step and I'm in the daylight because the sun is out, right? And I stop there and I think to myself, I'm like, hey, one more step and you've got this conquered. So I'm like, I look back and I'm like, fuck all you guys, like in a good way, right?
Yeah.
This guy's dead.
These are all demons. They're all demons that
demons.
are still haunting your brain clearly that have now come up on a clean slate.
Yeah, and I've now fought them and fucked them up. And it in a matter of minutes only. So I stand there and I go like this and I just kind of threw my old skin off. And I went, fucking done. And then I jumped in the daylight and I raised my hands like I had a UFC belt or the Stanley Cup or something. And I'm like, I'm the fucking man. And I started doing jumping jacks and people were walking their dog and they're like, how are you? I'm like, really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
People are just like vibrating off your energy.
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
guy's having a good time.
100%. And I start walking home and I just started like crying. I'm like in a great, beautiful way because I'm like, I've done something that has taken me forever to do and I've forgiven myself. I used to just beat myself up till very recently on the shitty things I've done and like, being addicted to cocaine and I can't believe that was me and you know what I mean? All this stuff. But now it's like, hey, that's over now. You have no longer, I will not give myself permission ever again to feel sorry for that guy. And I'll never be able to get back into that because I can't resonate with it anymore. And the only way I'm convinced, the only way I was able to do that is because of psilocybin. It got me to a point of this manifestation and subconscious level in my mind that I could believe what I was thinking. Like if we're not on psilocybin and you're like, you talk to somebody and be like, yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire. If they say that, they're going to be like, I don't know if I'm actually going to be a millionaire, right?
The doubt sinks in.
Yeah. I created a plan in my head so quickly that everything that I planned out, I fucking know I'm going to achieve. I know it. All I have to do is execute. And I went home and I told my girlfriend everything that happened. And I actually...
can't imagine her reaction.
Well, she actually took it really well. I was worried that she was going to be mad. But at the same time, I was just like... If she's mad, she's mad. She's going to see how beautiful this was.
It's a result
later.
of what you conquered.
That's right.
That she's going to be extremely proud of, that you came out of with that.
That's right. And I explained the story to her and I was pacing my place and she didn't get mad at all because she could see it in my eyes and she could see my soul. She's like, this guy's got it. This guy has it and he's ready to fuck shit up in a good way, right?
That's amazing.
So we actually, little side story, she actually popped the bottle and I ended up taking fucking 8 of them. Cause I didn't know, like one day my thing, yeah, dude. So the thing with me, and if anyone who knows me, I'm like this, if all or nothing, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
It was like that with drugs. It was just, I didn't just do a little bump when I started cocaine. I did a fucking giant rail.
Yeah.
And it was like, alcohol too, like it's not like a beer. I think the first thing I had was whiskey and I had the whole Mickey and shout out to Eric, I was with you, you know what's up. And I think my body and my mind knew that it needed to do that to fuck me up that bad, because if I didn't get that much of a high, maybe I wouldn't have done all this stuff and been able to talk to myself and believe myself right to my toes. That I
covered everything.
Everything, man.
You went on that path and it went through every single... I know you listed it quick, but I mean, let's be real here. That is a life full of hardships that are extremely mentally and physically brutal for someone to handle.
100%.
That one can, maybe without that experience, hold on to for the rest of their life.
That's
even
right.
just through you telling your story right now, it's just liberating.
Yeah.
To even hear, to even just be looking from the outside in
Yeah.
and really see with my own eyes, like, how much of a fucking difference that made for you.
Huge. Like, have you ever seen that movie? It's the Elton John movie that it got a couple Oscars. It's very recent.
Do you remember the name?
Tiny
He's
Dancer.
an incredible actor.
Tiny
Incredible
Dancer, I
actor.
think. He's in
haven't seen it.
Kingsman. He's the main actor.
He was in that 3-hour-long movie premiere.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, so at the end of that movie, it was very similar to my trip.
Yeah.
The end of that movie, I wish I remember who directed it, but anyways, the end of that movie, he kind of goes into this trance and he sees all his loved ones and he gets to talk to them and they get to talk to him very uncandidly, almost like it's a dream. And he saw his mother and father and he forgives them and they forgive him, and he just got to take that step back and do that. And that's what I got to do. Every single one of those burrows or those trees that I saw, I got to look at, take it in, expel it, and be like, that's over. I saw you, I see you, you're dead. Like me sleeping under a tarp. You know what I mean? I slept under a tarp for like a month, man. And I felt that cold. I was so cold. I felt that. And then I'm just like, but it's over now.
Yeah, it doesn't define who you are.
And it was like,
anymore.
gone.
Yeah.
This guy, you know what I mean? I wronged this person. Gone. My health was gone. Gone. I just, I hit it all. And then I got to that finish line and I'm like, whew, new guy.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm telling you, man, it triggered something in my mind that I'm in beast mode at all times. And I'm kind of wondering when it's going to fizzle off, but I don't think it is.
It won't.
Because my goals now are so, it's not like this like esoteric thing way up here. It's like, it's achievable.
Yeah,
it's like
it's clear.
there's a ladder and it's just one rung at a time, man.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's very clean and nothing's in my way.
I wanted to really share this with you with every step of how you explain that, because you're obviously a really good storyteller. Like, let's be honest, right? You painted that
Appreciate it,
beautifully,
yeah.
and I appreciate you doing so, because while you were saying that, Anthony, it brought me to wanting to share this, because correct me if I'm wrong. If four stages of your experience, initially it was discovery, right? You setting that intention when, okay, I need to really discover something. And this is the neat part. It started and ended with this. It was the realization of, you know what, I'm noticing this is a bad habit I'm creating right now, and it could bring me back to a very dark place.
That's right.
That dark place being when a lot of those chain of events happen. So it started with that. But the neat thing, as I explain these steps, is it ended with the very same step, where at the finish line, you went, okay, now I don't need to drink anymore, because I realized why I was, in a sense.
Yeah.
I realized it was kind of, in an odd way, suppressing all the deepest, darkest things that happened to me in my life.
Yeah.
I was trying to forget about it.
Yeah.
Because maybe in an odd way, subconsciously, it kept coming back into your life.
Yeah.
Right? After stage 1 of discovery, you had acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2 is when you just accepted the reality you're facing.
Yeah.
And what's happening.
Yeah.
Then the neat part was forgiveness. I feel like that's stage 3.
Yeah.
Is when you walk down that path and you were just recollecting in a very neat way every single tree or object that came your way that was identified as something that maybe you felt you wronged or someone wronged you.
Yeah, that's right.
But you forgave either way.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah,
didn't
you
matter.
realize I can't control that anymore. Well, what happened?
Yeah.
And then after forgiveness, this is the most neatest part, is when you reach that finish line, it was a level of, I want to put it this way, evolutionary adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
You came into a very new stage. You evolved like a fucking Pokemon.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've now taken that evolution and you're going to adapt because of it.
Yeah.
You know, you that one change you fixed very, very conveniently stemmed into, I bet, a multitude of other things.
That's right.
In your life that you're now looking at very differently.
Very differently. Different lens. You nailed it, man. You nailed it 100%. Everything is through it like this different lens, and I feel like I just like have this constant flow of like vitamins in me and nutrition, and I'm like feeling things different. Like everything's kind of got like a pulse, and I respect it, and it's bizarre in such a great way, and it's like right into work. There's like, as you know, I own a construction company, and I self-perform quite a few things. And there's certain things you don't want to do. Like, that could be with anything. Let's say, like with jiu-jitsu, for example. Like, you probably want to roll more than you want to drill.
Yeah.
But I'm taking the same enthusiasm with everything. If I'm painting, if I'm dapping, if I'm putting carpet down, it's the same thing, because it's all going towards my end goal.
Yeah.
Because it's so clear. Everything is just like a little bit of a rung that I got to get through.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to like get through it in the sense of it's a struggle. It's just like I'm on my way and nothing can fucking get in my way.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
I think a good point to make there too is like, in order to continuously getting better at rolling, if we use that analogy with
Sure.
jiu-jitsu, you need to drill.
That's right.
And I find for you in this sense, you needed to, whether the psychedelic experience was included or not, because let's be fair, for some other people who are extremely against it and they need to meditate and tap into this mindset, and they possibly can, you needed to drill. You needed to drill your mind to go back to these places.
Yeah.
And do all those 4 steps.
Yeah.
To become a better roller.
Yeah.
To be able to now go out and do everything you do at a higher level.
Yeah.
Kind of to your point where you feel like you're always going to be wired like this.
Yeah.
Right? It's not because you need to, let's say, every 12 years do psilocybin. It's just because you needed to, in a really odd way, have a checkpoint. This was like a major point in your life where, you know what, obviously everything outside of our control with things that have been happening, like coronavirus,
Yeah.
you just kind of needed to take upon yourself to be like, I need to figure something out.
Yeah.
And you did it, man.
Yeah, that's right.
I honor that you did
Yeah,
that.
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I want to know if there's anything left to say about that story, because I think it's fair. I'm the kind of person, when someone shares something that deep, mine is anywhere near, to be honest, as deep as your story, but I think it's fair to share my experience as well.
For sure.
And I just want to know if there's anything else left untold about that, especially with the aftermath.
You know what I would add is, since I've been listening to the Conor McGregor YouTube, like I said, I just YouTube Conor McGregor motivation, pick one, and then I go about my business during the day. That's kind of what I use to start my build up to taking psilocybin, to kind of pump me up. One thing he talks about is the law of attraction and manifesting your own destiny and all that kind of stuff. I bought into that so incredibly much that it's spilled into it's part of my everyday life. Mm-hmm. Every single day I start my day with some kind of law of attraction YouTube video or anything like that. And this kind of like opened my state of being and self-consciousness. So when I do listen to that stuff, I can kind of like feel it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that spilled into my, I don't want to say sober life, but it's my sober life.
Yeah. No, it is. It really is, man.
Yeah.
That next chapter, right?
That's right.
I really encourage that, because even for me, I don't know if I told you this, because I shared a lot, is grade 8 when I read Rhonda Reen's The Secret.
The Secret.
And that's where I was first introduced to the law of attraction.
Right on, man.
And at that age, as much as I wish going back I did more things like vision boards, I mean, I hope you could kind of see in this room, there's a multitude of versions of vision boards in here.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, for me, I care about what you see. Kind of about to your point, I think you said it before we went on air, where like, when you're preparing for your next speaker series, you're looking at printing a whole picture of the Rogers Arena and putting the noise of people screaming, shouting, and celebrating your name on YouTube. Like, normal people don't do that.
Yeah.
But like, it just shows that you're wiring yourself in to be like, you know what, it's going to happen one day. So I best prepare myself right now.
Great people.
I better add all these elements in, whether it's a vision board or speaking it to existence.
Yeah.
What I love doing, Anthony, is like, I love, let's say, going to you or a buddy and being like, you know what, man, I'm going to run 20K.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I'm going to do it or when I'm going to do it. Give me 3 months at least, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's my driver. I wake up every day knowing that people are going to hold me accountable for that.
Yeah, that's right.
So speaking things in existence, I love that.
Yeah.
I'll share with you this. So I had 2 experiences that really had a big marker in my life at that point that made me look at things differently. And I think it's fair to say this is, depending on who you're with, where your mind's at, and what your intention is, and the environment you're in, is definitely going to depict what your experience is like.
100%.
Both of my experiences, I feel like I'll share the first one and the other one we'll dive into a little bit, heavily changed my entire perception on even the people I was with and my relationship with them, on top of just these realizations. So I was at a good friend of mine, Stag. right? He got all of us close friends together. And mind you, we were all homies, like through thick and thin. High school, we were all like stuck to each other like glue.
Yeah.
We get older, life happens.
Yeah.
You all go about your own journey. So the beautiful thing he did, and I loved it because I had a conversation with him, and him and I, we, if he's listening to this right now, we both kind of knew what was happening here. Where there was an element of he could have brought anybody to his stag. He could have brought his like most recent homies.
Yeah.
But he intentionally brought his day one homies.
Nice.
To his stag.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of buttfuck nowhere.
Yeah.
Braggs Creek. Like
Nice.
it was
Yeah.
in Alberta, in a beautiful cabin. This thing was huge, 3 levels to it, 6 of us closest homies. And there was a night where we said, you know what, let's get trippy, let's do this stuff.
Yeah.
We did some psilocybin, and relative to what I told my mind, I didn't really want to speak it out and be the hippie that said it, but I told myself internally, and it played out beautifully. I said, you know what, this is exciting. First time ever I'm going to do this with my homies who know me like the back of their hand, who know what 12-year-old Kenny's like.
Yeah.
And there's so much that's missing. I don't really know a lot of what their family life looks like. We never really got there because when you're young and stupid in high school, you'd really just party together and talk about sports and laugh.
Yeah, you don't get that deep, really.
Yeah. So let's learn about each other's family dynamic. Let's learn about what all of us really feel about relationships. And I'd love to know how they view friendships.
Yeah.
Like what does a friendship mean? I've always even had that level of curiosity in asking everyone. Like that's the one thing, especially at that time, where I was like doing a lot of reading on friendships and articles, and it was stating how you have a good measure of what relationships look like. Then you have a good measure of how to define your family. But friendship is always like this thing where it's like, oh yeah, it's fine if we talk once a month, or yeah, once a year we pick up off where we left off. Like there's those levels of different ways of measuring it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we make pasta, like this kick-ass spaghetti. A couple of the boys just like making beet sauce, getting it all ready, right?
Yeah.
So we have pasta and we're like, all right, boys, we're just missing one thing. We're missing some mushrooms.
Yeah.
There you go. Sprinkle, sprinkle, right?
Yeah.
So we sprinkle up this bad boy. Sure enough, a couple hours go by, it kicks in. Just long story short, I could dive into multiple different, let's say, series of the night. There was a point where, and luckily I'm really glad, one of our friends was completely sober. Really glad that happened. So you got to be safe sometimes when you're doing it with your homies. We were all sitting in the living room, all of us, just gone. And I had my friend kind of open up that can of worms, and we're having a conversation similar to what I was already thinking of friendships. And I immediately said something revolved around, guys, do you feel like, and I was very vulnerable at this stage. It's like, do you feel like we're all, could you classify us all as good friends? Like, are we all each other's current friends right now and are in each other's lives?
Yeah.
And I got there, and everyone's like, shit, not really, man.
Oh,
It
no.
was heavy. People were just honest.
Yeah.
Very honest, very real. And we opened up that can of worms, and we all kind of accepted that, like, guys, like, we're all adults now, and like we all kind of dived deep and got older in our life and had certain moments where, hey, buddy's playing soccer, he's gonna be closer with his soccer homies.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Buddy's doing MMA and he's diving into the jiu-jitsu world and he's podcasting. He's gonna be more in that world, but accepting it and knowing that we're all gonna be there for each other at the most important part of each other's lives, like this right now.
Yeah.
And it was just accepting that. And then one thing happened when we talked about family. I've kind of mentioned this on air before too, but just to slightly bring it to your attention, is one of the things I always wished growing up as a kid was family dinner time. Right? I wish I had that. We were all just so busy in our lives that we never necessarily got that on a daily basis. This got brought up on top of another one friend mentioning his experience of what it was like with his parents divorcing at a young age. And obviously, like any other person who goes through that, it's tough.
Yeah.
He's the oldest sibling. He felt like he had to be like the man of the house immediately at the age of like 16.
Yeah.
So he shared, same thing. We connected. He said, man, all I know is when I have kids, I want to do that for them every day. I want to make them feel like they're part of a unit.
Yeah.
And him and I, we bonded over that. I had a friend. He just had looked at the corner of my eye. He started breaking down. He's crying. Like, we're all like men just getting real damn emotional in a room.
Yeah.
Never in our lives have we ever cried in front of one another. We all cried for very different reasons at certain points, and especially even myself. And I'm like, yo, man, what's going on? You know what he said? He said, man, you know what? I did not realize how good I have it. You know, he's like, every day my parents drilled it in our heads. Family dinner time at 6:15, not a minute later. I don't care if you got anything else. Work your schedule around this time because this is family time. He just started crying. He's like, man, I appreciate my parents so much for doing that now that you guys say that, because I didn't realize how fucking good I have it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I was just like, oh man, like just when you hear stuff like that and then you're getting on a deeper level with your friends, I mean, we all got out of that. I mean, as much as still we all don't talk as often as possible, we all bonded on a whole other level at that moment.
Yeah.
And we just started respecting what we really have here.
Yeah.
You know, having moments like that where we're like, man, not only are we all homies, but we all cried in a room with one another and like spilled our hearts. You know, I started telling them about how like, man, I've always struggled to feel like I have real friends. I'm like, you guys were always there, but like, I kind of now know what real friendship looks like. And that's why I brought that up. I'm like, are we friends? Because I'm like, there's things other people know about me that you guys don't. And then we're all like, oh, okay, tell us, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Let's pick each other's
Get on
brain.
the same level.
Yeah, and then at the very end, me and my buddy were like, he's like, dude, entire time in my mind, he's like, I wanted to do this and I just wanted everyone to get real raw. I wanted to pick everyone's brain.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, me too.
Yeah.
And we had a good laugh and, you know,
That's
but
good.
I
That's
just,
why you're a host.
yeah, man, thank you.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. But that's the funny thing, right? Is like, I did want to go into there and be like, what am I going to pick apart? And you get out of these experiences, and for you, you did on your own. Look how well you got to know yourself out of that experience, right? So I just figured I'd share that. And there's this one thing that I read in The Mind Explained. It's a documentary on Netflix. I'm not too sure if you've seen it. I saw it once, but I needed to refresh my mind and see it again yesterday. It was on psychedelics, especially on psilocybin. And they mentioned a great metaphor. And I wanted to mention this after you spoke your story in mine is, he said that when you're on psilocybin, imagine prior to it hitting your system, your mind and your thought patterns are like trails. So whatever decisions you make in your day-to-day, whether it's intentional or not, they're always going down the same path. You know, do I need to do this? Yes or no? Okay, quick decision. It's all going down this pattern. What psilocybin does is it's the snowfall that goes over all the paths you normally go on and makes a fresh, clean slate.
Yeah.
So picture you're skiing and now you know you're no longer going down similar paths. You're going on a brand new, fresh snow.
Yeah.
Now you're 100% way more likely to change certain behaviors, be willing, back to the acceptance phase of going down a path that you're not normally used to going. But right now, without the doubt, the insecurity, the what are people going to think about me, you go down that path.
That's right.
Because it's you against the world at this point. And I thought that was beautiful because after that experience I had with my friends and even the one I've had with my significant other, when we did it, that was the second time. I became vulnerable. I became, you know what? I am like this and I should change this. And hey, I'm willing to tell you the same. Yeah. And you get out of it with, you know, tears. Yeah. Like full on. They say in this documentary, that's why I had this laptop out, certain points I wanted to make where it probably died on me. No, it's good. Where there's moments where psilocybin allows you to face your ego.
That's right.
You know, you are having, I don't even want to say a battle, but a conversation finally with who you are, and you dissect yourself. Yeah. And I find that's why there's moments where some people might have bad trips because it's like you're facing those demons whether you like it or not.
You can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to yourself. And that is how you do better at anything you want to do. You have to really look at what you're doing and look at yourself and say, objectively, how can I get better at it? And if you're willing to face that and you're willing to work at it, you're going to be fine. But if you're just trying to continue to run from it, you'll probably have a bad trip. Can't lie to yourself when you're fucked up on that.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like looking in the mirror constantly, and no matter what word you say, like as though you're watching a recording of yourself, and you're asking yourself, is that really me or is that not? Yeah. You catch yourself off guard real quick. Yeah. And then you snap out of it because you can't help but be yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember picking up that phone when I was in the cabin, man, and I remember just like texting my brother, and like I could barely even text because I was so out of it.
Like this, like
just emotional. I was like, I love you, man. I'm like best brother ever, right? Yeah. And like texting my girlfriend and be like, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. But like you want to. I felt like calling my parents. Like I remember I had a conversation with my buddy. Yeah. And it was once he called me and he's like, dude, I'm so out of it right now. I did a little bit of psychedelics, but I just want to let you know I love you.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
Yeah,
like,
and he
it
does.
makes you- yeah.
Now that you know, you're like, you actually do love me, man. Yeah. Thank you.
Exactly, man. So, you know, it's something I'm not trying to like, again, I want to go back to the disclaimer. We're not trying to like promote this as you need to do it. But if you're ever in a fucking rut in your life or you need answers and you're going to so many people like, hey man, what do you think I should do?
Yeah.
Or hey man, what do you think? And you're just, the more answers you're getting from different people, it's making you more confused.
Yeah. And
Grab
when you're
that-
younger
yeah.
too, you don't know which people to go to properly. You could go to someone that's jealous of you and you don't even know, and he's going to guide you in the wrong direction. Or maybe that person isn't actually an expert or whatever, right? And also, like, for males, your frontal cortex isn't even fully developed until you're about 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't even really smoke weed before then, because
Too young.
it could mess you up. Like, it probably will mess you up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're using it to check your ego and just be one with, like we said, you have to get intentional and have a purpose before you go do it.
Yeah.
And then you'll reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man.
Yep.
Like, even that intention I set with my significant other at that point when we did it, we were just like I remember when I did it, I was like, okay, I'm going to want to really dig deep into us.
Yeah.
It wasn't, at that point, you're in the part of the relationship where it's like, oh, well, we know one another, we're past the honeymoon phase. Like, you feel like you really figure one another out.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like an experience of, okay, what about us?
Yeah.
We dug deep, right?
Yeah.
We went on with these conversations about, what do you look for in your future? What do you look for? What are your expectations for the other person, if you even have any?
Yeah.
What does a good relationship look like? And then you're willing to be honest. You're not just saying it to make them feel better.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, we'll figure it out when we get there, when I'm actually honest about myself. It's like, no, we're raw.
Yeah.
And we got out of that even happier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not sure that's the case for everyone, but it's a really good way, going back to the idea of you find the answers.
Yeah. Sheds a lot of light on a lot of things, and you can't ignore them.
Yeah, I acknowledge you for doing it by yourself. Because I think about that sometimes, and I'm just like, I think I get too scared. Like, I don't know where my mind would go.
I got
but
that.
You face it.
You know what? I do a lot of stuff on my own, because I used to let opinions of others really get to me. So once I recognized that I was being led in the wrong way, or this one particular person I used to reach out to for advice and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
now I know that person doesn't know fucking anything. Not anything, but that you just kind of like, yo, you're wrong. And you're like, holy shit, all these years I've been trying to confine in you, and you actually don't really know what you're talking about. Like, you kind of outgrow that person. So I got used to doing things on my own, and I know that I'm unique. Like, I don't have a lot of friends that can work with me, work out with me, or have the same kind of drive. They kind of think I'm crazy, and I actually like that. Like, it actually fuels me. Yeah. I like that when I walk in the room and I'm the hardest worker there.
Yeah.
Or like, yo, that guy's crazy. He works like 14 hours a day.
But you know what I love?
He has a family.
You know what I love about that though is, like, I think that's what's allowed you to be like, shit. Like, who do I compare myself now to? It's the Conor McGregors. It's the Tony Robbins. It's the people who are the Kevin Harts.
Yeah.
You're looking at them like, okay, where are you at right now? Where am I? Okay, I see what you're doing that I'm not right now. I need to bleed into that. I think that's exactly why your trip started with looking at Kevin Hart.
Yeah, that's
in
right.
a really
yeah.
weird sense.
I pick someone that I want to be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not going to be a comedian or anything, but his level of success and his metric is close to the same metric that I have. So I want to get there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to look up to people that aren't above me.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so true, man. Wow. I'm really glad we both got to share that with one
another.
another.
I you know what, man? I love that story.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And your story too. I can see it. Like, I want to do that with some of my buddies. And it's funny, a guy, one of my closest friends, he moved to Vancouver years ago. He texted me the other day and he's like, hey man, how's you and your family and stuff? Like, if I could have him and a couple buddies, in a cabin and just get into it.
Oh, dude, it's amazing because, again, it goes back to your point where, like, you kind of got to go in nature.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of nowhere, Anthony.
Yeah.
Right? Like in a jungle, in a cabin, just boop.
Yeah,
in the middle
yeah.
of it all.
Yeah.
You know, everything was built with like firewood that's around us. There's a couch on the side. Our one sober friend was on a chair like that in the corner.
Yeah.
And we were all just like submersed in this very intimate space,
Yeah.
right? And you know what? It ended off, we were still feeling it. But we all just, we were like kids again. We're 14, we're putting on the music, we're doing little skits.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy, we grabbed this huge spoon, bro. Huge. like this gigantic, the size of this canvas, bro.
Like an
And it was-
oar.
Yeah. It was like a huge spoon. So we put on this nice, you're going to love this. Put on this nice light, like Italian music in the background, like as if like we're dancing in the middle of Italy, right?
Yeah.
So we pick it up and you hear like doo-doo-doo-doo, and I pick it up. Buddy grabs a beer. He's like, huh? Throws me the beer. I'm like, hey, I catch it while I have the big spoon.
Yeah.
I open the beer, right? This is all being recorded. I open the beer, I put it in the spoon, and we're all silent. Like, we're all like pretending like no one's talking. And I'm like, who wants to come? My buddy's like, screw it, I'm coming. So he gets up, goes on the other end. I'm pouring, bro, like this beer on this end of a spoon. And I just drop it straight into his mouth, man. It's crazy.
I can imagine.
But that, like, I don't think that could have ever happened creatively and willingly if we weren't just
No, they'd
on
be
this
like,
buzz,
you're
on this-
fucked up, man. Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Now it's like totally normal.
Dude, don't grab that spoon. We're gonna have to pay for it if we break it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's magic. That's so good.
It was cool, man. Psilocybin, right? Let's switch gears, man. I mean, you know what? I feel like this was already a beautiful episode in and of itself, but I think we could kind of highlight some key aspects for you and even for me on another passion we have that's more so mainstream and more so that anyone else would be proud. Your mother would be proud that you're doing this. Which is fitness, right? And I wanted to tap into your brain a little bit with the last like 10 or so 15 minutes we have on your love and your willingness to take the time for being fit while still operating a very successful and time consuming business. Because I find, you and me both know it, there's a lot of business owners out there, a lot of entrepreneurs who happen to be a lot of my new clientele who I like working with, a lot of people who are very busy, sales-driven individuals, business owners, who always feel like the last thing on their priority list is fitness.
Yeah.
They don't have time for it. They got to still go back home and be with their kids. They need to grow their business. So their health ends up being kind of washed away.
Yeah.
And it's something where you care a lot about fitness, which still, oddly, you're still able to have time for your business and your family.
Yeah.
And you're big on, earlier you said there's so many things in your life where you'll constantly feel like it needs to be at the top level.
Yeah.
Right? So why don't you just kind of guide me through initially, like, why is it so important for you and how are you able to still keep that balance?
Well, first of all, I was always into fitness since about grade 10. And actually, not even really fitness, just looking a certain way. Like not being fit, but being like jacked, for the girls and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of where it started.
Confidence, right?
Yeah, it builds confidence. You look good, you feel good. But what I do on a day-to-day basis is I treat my fitness as a branch of my business. So it is just as important as accounts receivable, accounts payable, paying my trades in general. It's just as important because for me to grow my business, I need to be, I'm in competition at all times. So I want to be better than the other business, right? More or less. I'd like to be better than I was yesterday. That's how you should really look at it. But the way I look at it is I need to be as fit as possible so I can operate as efficient as possible. So that's how I work my fitness is worked into my daily routine because it's so important. So I know that when I wake up, let's say I start at 8, my phone can start ringing at 8. There could be the supplier issues, there could be client issues, there could be subtrade issues. The list goes on. So I won't get my workout in if I just start at 8. You know what I mean? I go right into work. I get going. And then when I get home, I kind of pride myself on, I want to take over. So I want to take my son and make sure that my girlfriend has the rest of the night off. She can go do her thing because she's locked at home, especially with COVID right now. She's locked at home. She can't really do anything. You know what I mean? So I want to take over. So I'm not going to be able to get my workout in at that time. So what I do is I'll wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. No one's calling me at 4:30 in the morning. No trades are open. No suppliers are open. None of that. So I'll work out as hard as I can. And it basically has, along with psilocybin, has changed my life. Because you get your workout out of the way, and you, as a male, your testosterone just gets amplified, right? So that's where all of our energy is coming from, and it just makes you feel good during the day. So, you know, these people that think they don't have time and stuff like that, just wake up earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so important to have that part of your routine. Discipline and routine are huge for me. It anchors me. Dwayne Johnson talks about that all the time. Is like, find your anchor, and his is the gym. So as long as you can anchor your morning, for me it's mornings. If you can anchor your morning in something, which is working out, the rest of your day will follow.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that, man. That was very well said, right? Really, really well said. I want to obviously mention, let's say, the caveat is, of course, a lot of people will go, okay, sure, wake up earlier. What about all the demands and things I got to do the night before? Do I got to have less sleep? So obviously there's an element of sacrifice. Right? They're going to have to look into their day. That's right. They're going to have to look into how much time they're spending doing certain things. But from your opinion, right? I love that you said this. You mentioned that fitness is just another subcomponent of your business, like accounts payable and accounts receivable. Like it's a part of it. It's part of it. If you weren't as fit as you are, took the time for yourself in the morning, you wouldn't be as aware and consciously there when it does come to your business. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge point. But when it comes to, let's say, someone being like, okay, well, Anthony, what do I got to give up? Well, what do you think is like the first easiest, maybe couple things you find someone should look at and being like, do you really need this right now? To have more sleep or to sleep earlier, to, let's say, wake up at that time to do so.
Yeah, I would say give up cable.
Buy Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, limit yourself to it.
It's true.
And
it's very true.
And I'm telling you, man, I sleep 6 hours a day, and I work in construction, which is one of the most, besides like professional fighting and all that kind of stuff, it's one of the most physical, demanding jobs ever.
It's a workout in and of itself.
Yep. And it's very stressful. Very stressful. Not every job is the same. You can't just have like a routine in your business. Not every job is the same. You're dealing with clients, you're dealing with tradespeople, which tradespeople can be a little bit much of like big time pain in the ass. A lot of egos is what I'm saying in there. And you're putting your heart and soul into these spaces, like building this place, for example. The person who built this house is taking pride in his crown molding and the walls and the baseboards and you know what I mean? There's a lot of moving parts. There's a massive amount of logistics. And then I have a 2-year-old, and I pride myself on being extremely involved as a dad. Nice. And I actually do that thing where I want to be a beast in all things. Like, I'm a beast of a dad. Like, I have tons of buddies that are just, I work and that's good enough. And I fucking hate that shit. I want to be very much there for them. And I want to relieve my girlfriend of a lot of the societal duties that the woman's supposed to do. Like, I don't believe in any of that shit.
I love that, man.
Just want to be a beast all day.
Every woman right now is like, Anthony, please, choose me. Choose me. Like, sorry, I'm taken. I'm on number one. Your DMs are just, they're going to be crawling now after listening to this.
Blocked.
I love it.
So what I'm getting at is, if I can operate on 6 hours of sleep, you can operate on 6 hours of sleep. Anyone can. Elon Musk does it. Yeah. I'm a fucking bitch compared to Elon Musk. He is the CEO of like everything. You know what I mean?
So true.
So you can give those up. Like, you have to sacrifice a little bit of sleep. And people, I need 8 hours of sleep. No, you don't. That's bullshit. You just have to get used to it. Yeah. Once you get used to it, it's okay. I used to need 8 hours of sleep, but I don't. If it's a priority, you'll do it. And what I think everyone should do is take an inventory and do an audit of your life.
Yeah.
What do I do? Just take a day and just say like, okay, this time I woke up and then I had coffee. Dissect it. I had coffee. I had an orange. I went to work. I stopped for this. I stopped for that. You can find, if your workout takes, I can blast myself 40 minutes. I'm dead. I can do it at 20 minutes if I really wanted to. You can find 20 minutes. I don't care what your day is
Love
like. This is, I take an example. She doesn't, we haven't really talked since high school, me and this girl, but her name's Brienne. She does like competitions, like bikini and stuff.
Yeah.
She has 2 kids and she's on stage all the time. I'm like, hey, if this mother of 2 can like look like that and be disciplined like that,
Word.
like it's not unachievable. You know what I mean?
Discipline.
100% discipline.
Takes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not a superhero, man. If I can do it, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it. You
Love
can
that.
find the time. Just make it a priority. You don't need to sit down and watch The Office again. You know what I mean? When I'm watching Netflix, I'm telling you, man. When I'm watching Netflix, I'm watching usually before bed, if all my shit's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a treat. It's candy.
Yeah,
It's a reward.
and it's a documentary. I'm watching something I'm gonna learn from, something I can apply to real life.
Love it.
Like The Last Dance, One Last Dance. Watching Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman and Pippen, all those guys. You like see greatness. You're like, damn, it inspires you. And yeah, it's Netflix and you're watching it and like you could be doing other things, but that's kind of my little break
Yeah.
where I can.
That's knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. And even I
take it
think
in.
despite whatever you're watching, I think it's very fair to your point about, hey, you know what? Don't cut it out completely.
Yeah.
This still have a balanced life, right? Like the notion behind cheat day, or like, you know what? If you're gonna watch mindless television after a full day of work, do so.
Yeah.
If that calms you down.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Especially like The Last Dance.
Yeah, and you need to
Something
know
great to
yourself.
watch.
You need to know yourself. So if you know that you need to take a beat when you get home and then you'll go do something, do that. But if you're like me where you can't stop until you're ready for bed, do that. You know what I mean? You need to know yourself. If I go home and I just sit on the couch, a lot of times, like I'm like crazy disciplined, but I really want to stay in that couch, and I can see how the average person would just stay on that couch. You know what I mean? So if you are going to skip the gym, when the gym's open, hopefully soon, thank God, hopefully.
Otherwise, you could just come in the basement. You could do those curls.
Yeah,
before the show
exactly.
again.
Yeah. I did a little pump up before this because I needed it. I was wearing a short enough sleeve.
I love it.
If you can't drive, like if you go to work and then you drive past your gym and go home and you know you're not going to go back to the gym, go to the gym on the way home. You need to know yourself.
Yeah,
You know what I
pack
mean?
the shirt and shorts with you. Bring it. Convince yourself it's happening. I
Meal
love that.
prep. You gotta lean your day out as much as possible.
These are all things that are going to save you time.
100%. And if you
Right.
have the time, you'll do it.
Something it's an exercise I do with my clients actually is we break down the typical day.
That's
you
awesome.
know? And it's a lot of me asking questions. I don't know what your life looks like. I can't tell you what to do and when. You know what it's like balancing 3 kids and a wife and obviously attending them, and then your freelancing gig and then your full-time job. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you certain questions about, okay, well, what feels routine to you? Because there's such incredible amount of attention we deserve to give to having a routine. I feel clearly, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you have one.
Oh yeah, big
Right?
time.
There's just something regimented about, it's at this time I do this, and there's going to be a certain amount of time I do it enough times where it's going to feel normal.
Yep.
Like how many times, Anthony, and I'm gonna ask you this out of whim here, do you ever feel like you wake up without your alarm clock?
All the time, every day. I
Done.
beat it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I beat it every day.
It's so wired into your brain now because you told yourself 6 hours a day of sleep. Every morning, there's going to be some sort of element of fitness or me time.
Yeah.
Start work, 8 a.m. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
I do this with my clients, and it's to my surprise, there's a lot of things they just do at different times. And then they feel like, well, I don't have enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Because maybe in between, there's little things like, going on the phone or doing things when you're not supposed to that happen where your day just goes bye-bye. It's already gone.
The fuzz.
It's out of your, it's out of your fingertips. So I acknowledge you for that, man. Like it's not easy. When we're in that time frame, it's really important for people to just go one habit at a time, right? It's starting with one thing, because they're going to look at your life, they're going to hear this and be like, well, I want to do that right away. Let's go clean slate.
Yeah.
I'm going to wake up go to the gym every day at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're normally waking up at 8 to get to work at 9, maybe get up at 7:45.
Yeah.
Go 15 minutes prior. And instead of trying to get to the gym, do 20 push-ups.
That's right.
Done. Great start. Do that for a week.
Yeah.
Next week, wake up at 7:30. Go for a 15-minute jog.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just start with baby steps to build up to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That for me, it took years.
Yeah.
It took years, and it took me. One of the biggest things is it has to be a priority for you. Like if you really want it, then you'll do it. And you have to realize that in order to get what you want, you have to do these things. You got to be regimented and stuff. If you kind of get your mind going there, then you'll do it. You'll get up earlier. You'll start working out and doing I like what you said, doing like push-ups first and waking up 15 minutes earlier than you normally do. Like if I start boxing today, I'm not going to go fight Tyson tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to start building your way up.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
No, I agree, man.
Yeah,
I love that. I wanted to bring it to the final end of our conversation here.
Sure.
One thing that I know is super exciting that's coming up for you, Anthony, is you're going to be speaking at the Disrupt HR event.
That's right.
Which is huge, man. I know during the time you were applying for it, I was, shooting you messages saying, I know you're going to get this for sure. So that's no surprise to me at all.
I appreciate that.
Tell us about when that event is, how people can get tickets, because I hope people join me because I want to take a front row seat and see that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Yeah, it's at the Jim Shaw Theater at Nate. And it's called Disrupt HR YEG. You can follow them on Instagram, which is the same name, at Disrupt HR YEG. And I'm going to be talking about harnessing addiction in the workplace. How somebody like me, who is massively addicted to cocaine, how you can harness that energy and desire to want something into wanting something that's positive. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be my keynote for the night. 300 people. I'm jacked for it, man. I'm excited.
This is the biggest one you've done so far,
biggest
right?
one so far, yeah. Most amount of people.
Man. We're going to add another 0 to that in a couple years' time.
That's right. That's a goal.
It's going to be awesome, man. And when's the date again?
September 16th.
Beautiful. September 16th. We could get tickets through the link on the HR Disrupt Instagram handle, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
And other than that, dude, wow. Like, to just sit here with you and learn more about the man you are and really see who Anthony is today after we have, and I've learned sitting beside you where you were at before. Yeah. It really brings things together to really truly define the amazing person you are, man.
It's awesome.
Right?
I appreciate that.
You're someone who's great to have. I'm thankful I have you in my corner now, and you're closer to me in my life. And even just in general, like everything that you're doing, man, keep it up, because you take real life principles and real life mistakes and you apply them to influence. I think that's really important. I think it's amazing that someone can look at you, and that's anyone who's done some stupid, fucked up shit, or who's just made mistakes, and be like, you know what? He's done it and turned his life 180 and is now known in our city, in our province, as someone who's like, hey, it can be done. Why can't I? You give people that freedom and power to do so. And that's what gives me liberty. Because even for me, Anthony, a lot of times I always learned that, my biggest fear when I started podcasting was I'm not the best at speaking English. Not that I'm ESL at all or English as a second language. It's just I always knew that the way I bring messages across are not to the level of storytelling once upon a time the way you do. Because let's be honest, there's a level of being able to tell stories and confidence in what you say that is needed with public speaking. It can be taught.
Yeah.
It can. But
Yeah.
it takes time. And for me, when I see someone like you, it just makes me feel all the more happy to see that, hey, I'm out here every single day, every single guest I have. Those nerves never leave.
Yeah.
Right? I still, in those first 2 minutes, as much as I try and suppress it, I get nervous.
Yeah, same,
it
man.
happens,
That's
right?
normal, yeah.
But it's just great to see that we're only human at the end of the day.
That's right.
We don't need to always look or be perfect. And we can kind of look back, and similar to your story with what happened with psilocybin, as you look back, you connect the dots, and you just become that much more appreciative to feel like a champion and raise those hands like you're holding the cup or belt to realize that you've grown since all those things have happened that have told you otherwise.
Really appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
that was
totally,
very
man.
awesome.
Appreciate that,
Thank
bro.
you so much.
You know how it is, man. I mean, if there's anything else you'd like to say, where can people find you? How can people connect to you, especially if people are hearing this and getting a taste of Zorzetto for the first time?
Instagram's the one I'm on the most. I got rid of Facebook due to all the COVID fake news that was going around. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't handle it anymore, man.
Done.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. Instagram at Mr.Zorzetto.
Beauty.
And then my business one is at Anvo_Construction.
Perfect, man. That's awesome. Well, guys, you know how it is. We're in the jungle with Zorzetto himself. We went in the jungle this episode, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely, we did, yeah.
And you know how it is. We talk about how to survive, how to thrive, and keep the good vibes going in life and business. That's a wrap. Thanks, my brother.